Hi guys, good afternoon and welcome to the 330 Sports Show. My name is Justin Coffin. Today is Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. We are broadcasting live from downtown Youngstown, Ohio, and we are produced by the Youngstown Studio Network. We have phone lines open today. Before I tell you what we're going to talk about a little bit, I'm going to tell you about, you can call in and talk sports with us, but you can also have an opportunity to win a pair of iPod Pros and $100. There's a box right here in front of me. I can lift it up a little bit. There you go. There's a 3-digit code that will unlock this box, and inside of it, we have the AirPod Pros, and we also have a $100 bill. Joe, they can win both of those things?
Oh, yeah. It keeps building until someone wins.
Okay. So Joe Danier has graciously added to this box, and, we would love to hear from you. So
only 990 combinations left to try.
990?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had 10 tries.
I guessed, I'm going to tell you, I guessed 042, and that was incorrect. So
because it is the meaning of life.
Yeah, right. So, take your chance, and we'll be able to get a few callers in here. We are going to do a Zoom call later in the show. But the first 10, 15 minutes here, we have open phone lines. So I want to hear if you are able to call in what your best and worst of the weekend was. I'm going to share mine here in a minute. And, again, you'll have a chance to guess the 3-digit code that could unlock those prizes for you. So I'm going to start with ways you can contact our show or check us out on social media. So, check if you're watching on screen, you can see all the different ways here in a second. But at the 330 Sports Show on social media and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on Youngstown Studio on Facebook, which most of you are probably watching on, or YouTube, or if you're on Twitter at YTown Studio. So all different ways. We're also available on iTunes, Spotify, all those different ways. So, tons of different ways to interact with the show, tons of different ways to check us out. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, the best and worst of the weekend. I'm going to have you look at this image up here on the screen. Joe, do you mind putting this one up on the screen for me? So I saw this the other day, and to me, the best of the weekend was the weather. And today, you could not ask for a better, better weather than this. And I've seen this image out there. I think this was from Eric Wilhelm as well over at 21. But we're definitely past winter. We're definitely past the winter. But are we in the fake spring? Are we? Is there a second winter coming? Let's hope not. I did see it's going to be in the 70s the next couple of days. So
technically, we're into spring now, right?
Well, officially we're into spring. So hopefully we are past, but there's always that Mother Nature always gives you that jab or two that is like, you know what, screw you guys. This is still Northeast Ohio. We're coming in with snow flurries or something like that.
The saying is in like a lion, out like a lamb. And I think that they gave us the middle finger a little bit and said, no, we're going to give you lamb first. Once you get comfortable, we're going to freaking lion your ass.
Or that lamb is just sticking up its middle finger as it's coming in. So hopefully we're into, I guess, pollen season here soon. There's a lot of buds out on the trees and stuff like that. So to me, that was the best of the weekend, and hopefully we are into the true spring here. Also, best of the weekend, I want to say congratulations to Coach Phillips and Youngstown State. They were able to win their first game this past weekend.
Wow, nice.
So obviously started off probably the toughest, FCS schedule in the country, but they were able to pick up that win this weekend and hopefully build on that in the second half of the season here. The good for anyone watching the NCAA tournament is going to be the upsets that occurred. So we take a look at the Sweet 16 that's left. You're going to see Gonzaga and Baylor, the 1 and 2 seeds, 2 top overall seeds, and Michigan 1 seeds. But if you look at the rest of the teams, there's a lot of big numbers in their higher seeds. Oral Roberts, who knocked off Ohio State, obviously that was a tough loss for the Buckeyes, but then they followed it up by beating the Florida Gators. So that's a legit team. Loyola of Chicago knocked off the top seed Illinois in their region. Syracuse, another team that's well known, but didn't have the best regular season, is still in there. We have Florida State in there. UCLA, who has now won 3 games because they had to win a play-in game to even get in the tournament, and Oregon winning their side, and USC. So you got the 2 LA schools still left in the Sweet 16. So very cool for them. I call this a good because it's good for college basketball. It's good for the fans to see upsets. Now, when you're a Buckeye fan like me, it can kind of bite you in the ass. It can kind of backfire a little bit. But
now you're cheering for Oral. You're going to take it all the way, buddy.
I legitly saw on Twitter and Facebook this weekend that people thought it was legitly a dental school, and
well, he was like an evangelist, wasn't he? Isn't he like
I believe so. Yeah, he was a very, very religious person, and then I saw Arkansas and Oral Roberts. People are calling the Bill Clinton Bowl. So
they're brutal.
A little jab at Slick Willie there. Yeah. So
well, it's a good, the only team I really root against is, and it's not Michigan. In basketball, it's weird. It's actually North Carolina. Okay. Back in the heyday, Christian Leitner and all those dudes, like they were there every year, and I hated seeing
Duke.
them.
That's Duke.
Oh, that's right.
Duke.
That's right.
Duke. And Duke was not in the tournament this year, luckily. But Wisconsin from the Big Ten did knock North Carolina out. But you're right. Duke was so bad this year, they didn't even qualify for this tournament, let alone. And then I think balked at going to the NIT, which is kind of like the next.
Isn't that weird how in basketball, though, you have this like great school, great recruiting, whatever, and then it turns over and it's garbage for, a couple years?
I think a school like that, they have so many one and done kids that, your recruiting year in and year out has to hit every year, and you are relying on a lot of freshmen, whereas some of these schools, like you look at an Oral Roberts, you look at a Loyola Chicago and Oregon State, they're more of like a veteran laden team because they don't necessarily have these NBA draft prospects in and out every single year. They can develop
the team rather than the player. Yep.
Exactly.
Now, who broke that mold? Because I don't remember it being that guys would just spend 1 year in college and then get gobbled up right away.
Yeah, the NBA used to have a rule where you didn't even, you could just go straight out of college. And
because LeBron was right out of high school, right?
LeBron was right out of high school. And, that goes back to, as far as I remember, even the early 80s. But then they instituted the one rule, but a lot of college coaches and universities in general want it to be a 2-year thing. If you commit to college, they want you to stay for 2 years because 1, that gives them some continuity year to year. And 2, I think it's better holistically for the whole player. So a lot of times, these players, we're not looking at them as, student athletes. We're looking at them as basically an employee for the university. And I think you get into a little bit of a slippery slope there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and honestly, I think, football is a more brutal sport. I could see them giving somebody a faster track to get the professional career underway before they get hurt in college. Sure. Basketball, I don't really consider. I mean, ask LeBron and he'd tell you different now. But yeah, lesser chance that you're going to go down with a, career-ending injury.
Exactly. And I have a point I'm going to bring up in my ugly section here. So we're talking about the good right now, but the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm gonna get to that point here in a minute. But and I don't know if I even said the phone lines to call in. I don't think I said the number, but anyway, I'm gonna repeat it if I didn't, or if I did or didn't. It's 330-595-1600 if you do want to call in. And again, you have a chance to unlock the box, call in, talk sports with us, and possibly win a pretty cool prize here. So, so good. We talked about the YSU. We talked about a lot of the upsets. The Pac-12 was 9-1 so far in the tournament. I do want to bring up Andrew Berry. Andrew Berry is the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, and he has been killing it.
Yes, he
in
is.
free agency. And a lot of people, they haven't necessarily made that huge splash with huge names, but they are bringing in impact players on team-friendly deals that are going to really, really help this defense, especially.
Any surprises? I mean, we kind of knew where they were going to load up in free agency, right?
I love the John Johnson. He is the safety, and again, that's a funny name, but he's going to be a great player for the Browns, and I think he's going to complement what they're trying to do with the rest of the defense. They signed a guy named Tack McKinley. He was a defensive end, former first-round draft pick, but still only 25 years old. The Browns, this is really kind of cool. They signed a cornerback named Troy Hill. Troy Hill actually, and I have to look more into him, but I know he grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, which is really cool to see. He comes over from the Los Angeles Rams, but a very good signing. He'll probably be the slot corner for the Browns, and I think that's a really nice deal. They re-signed Rashard Higgins.
That was good to see.
Very, very team-friendly contract too. Yes. So, I mean, when you see some of the numbers that are thrown around, like, $2.4 million for the average person is a lot of money, but in the NFL, when you're only possibly doing this for 3-4 years and you're putting your physical health and well-being at risk, $2.4 million isn't a lot of money in the long run, especially if you have injuries or whatever. So give Rashard Higgins credit. He's gonna say, hey, I'm gonna showcase myself, maybe get a bigger deal in the offseason. So again, that's to his credit, that's to Andrew Berry's credit, and I thought that was really cool.
And I'm telling you, our pass rush, I'm so excited to be able to see this go down, because it's not heavy on one player.
Right.
You got both ends now.
Yes. And the Browns really seem to like this Tack McKinley. Again, he kind of hasn't necessarily found his way. He's been injury prone, but if they can, he can fill a hole, add depth. They can use some of their draft picks and draft capital to, bolster that defensive line and get a nice rotation. I think they're going to be pretty solid. They also signed Malik Jackson, a defensive end or defensive tackle. And his name's escaping me right now, but they also brought in a linebacker from the Indianapolis Colts who is just really, really highly thought of and will be a great locker room guy and will be a very impactful player for the Browns. Just one other NCAA note I skipped over too. I want to say congratulations. I know they got knocked out in the second round, but Bob Huggins, a West Virginia coach, I've had the opportunity to meet him several times. Great guy, but he had his 900th win in college basketball this past weekend. So I put that in the good section. Joe, I'm going to have you throw up this next image here for me. I just thought this image and this picture was pretty cool. The Cleveland Browns are hosting the NFL draft in Cleveland this year. So that is a really, really, really cool opportunity for the city of Cleveland. Now, there will be limited capacity. So, like when you saw in Nashville a few years, you're not going to see wall-to-wall people, but this is sort of the NFL saying, let's get back to a little bit of normalcy. There's going to be stages set up on Lake Erie by the Science Center up there on the lake, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the stadium around different landmarks of Cleveland. So just a really cool opportunity for the city of Cleveland and the Browns organization as a whole. So
we can boo Roger Goodell louder than any other market. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, I think he's probably honestly even looking forward to that, getting booed and seeing. Now,
are they doing most of it outside, or is it in the stadium? Or
that's a great question. I'm guessing it'll be outside, but there'll be some sort of covered venue, as you never know what the weather will be like in Cleveland. But I mean, if they had it, what's today, March 23rd? You have it outside today. It's 70 degrees clear, but. we all well know, I think last year it might even have snowed like an inch in May last year. So it's unpredictable, unpredictable around here. All right, now I'm unfortunately going to shift to the bad of the weekend. So you're going to see the score up on the screen, and it's 1-0 Oregon over VCU. Now, if you bet the under, if you bet the Ducks, not happy, but no, just kidding. Like this game was considered a no contest because several VCU players had an outbreak with the COVID vaccine or with the COVID virus that were not vaccinated and things like that. So this game was ruled a no contest. Oregon moved on, and then Oregon was able to win and upset in their second round game against Iowa. So unfortunately, that's sort of a bad, we're still in this pandemic, whether we like it or not. The end is nearing. I think we can all see the end coming, but unfortunately it's still going to be with us for maybe another couple months, but it's close. But this is the first game I can ever remember being canceled in the tournament, at least in my lifetime, or watching the tournament the years I've been watching it. So to me, that was a bad. Okay, and Joe, I want your opinion on this one, on this next picture. So I just took this picture on my phone. I was watching the Texas Southern. I can't remember who they were playing. I think they were playing like Gonzaga. They were playing a 1 seed. And they had a player up at the free throw line. And then in the background, I'm like, what the hell am I looking at? So I want to know. And I get like sort of like the capri type shorter pants are popular now for guys and stuff like that. And, high school kids or college kids are starting to roll their shorts like at the waist to make them a little higher. But what am I looking at here? I feel like this dude is wearing volleyball shorts. So acceptable or not? Not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. And to me, I mean, my God, that guy, I mean, you can't roll that up any further. You're going to have some junk hanging out here.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, I mean, I've played basketball in those shorts, and there's not a whole lot of support for your junk. So maybe rolling it off to the side is giving him a little bit of support where he needs it.
I don't know what's happening here, but to me, that was a bad from this weekend. And at no point ever should guys' shorts be longer or shorter than girls' shorts.
Yeah, they should be down to the knees. That's where they need to go.
Exactly. Not a sexist comment there. Just a matter of fact. No one wants to see your upper thighs, dude. So high school kids, college kids, take that. However you want, but
although he's looking kind of trim and built.
I mean, he's a college basketball player. You damn well should. But I don't want to have to see this guy's legs. So. That to me was a bad from the weekend. So I'm now, and that was a lighter topic. I'm now going to switch to the ugly from the weekend. And the ugly to me was, unfortunately, what is wrong with our society today. And before I put up some graphics and stuff, I'm just going to say, I said from the start of the show, everybody that watches the show, everybody that knows me knows I graduated from Ohio State. I'm about as big of a Buckeye fan as you can be. Ohio State lost in the first round. Okay. And it was an upset, and I was pissed and I was mad, but you know what? It's not the end of the world. And I'm not calling out any Buckeye fans because from what I understand, there were comments made this weekend. And from what I understand, it was people in the gambling community. It actually turned out to be an Illinois fan, I believe. And again, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. I'm not saying any names because I don't know. But EJ Liddell from Ohio State received comments on his Instagram account, and to me, I was telling Joe off screen and off air that I had this big monologue plan. I was going to go off, and I was so pissed off, and I still am. But the more I'm thinking about it, I want to kind of like take a step back, look at it, and see. Ohio State, basically, this guy or people called EJ Liddell everything they could under the book. racist, homophobic, all this stuff because he missed a free throw. This is also a 2-time Illinois high school basketball player of the year. He's pretty good at basketball. He is the Buckeyes' leading scorer and leading rebounder on the team. Again, he had 23 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists and some other numbers. So he had a pretty damn good game. Basketball, at the end of the day is a game. Sports at the end of the day are a game. These are, and here's my major problem with this. One, keyboard warriors, people that hide behind their keyboard and don't have the guts. Whoever said this or did this or made these threats would not have the balls, to say this to his face. So they're hiding behind a keyboard. They're making these comments. They didn't even have a picture on their Instagram. But they sent this to his DMs, and to me that just drove me nuts. Again, this is an unpaid college athlete, 20 years old, can't even go in a bar and buy a drink, and these people have the, whatever you want to call it, they actually make threats against this guy's life, and to me that's just the sickening part of our society. Have we all, said things or whatever when we're watching a game or, said something stupid? Yes, we all have. But the level of stupidity to me that you have to, first of all, you have to have the thought. Second of all, you have to process that thought. Third of all, you have to get on your phone or computer. And then fourth of all, you have to type it in and send it. And for that person to go through all of those stages and then send that to a 20-year-old kid, it just pisses me off. And I was between like being angry and like upset and sad and all those emotions going into one. And to me, it's just sickening. And to me, that is the worst thing about social media. I love social media. These athletes obviously love social media. Social media does so much good, but there's those small percentage and again, we all know them. They're online bulliers, and it just drives me nuts. If you want to poke fun at something or whatever, that's one thing. But to make threats or call someone a racial slur or homophobic names because they missed a free throw or lost a game, it's like, that just at the end of the day pisses me off. So I just had to say something about that. And here's the slippery slope with this. There was legislation recently passed about name, image, and likeness, NIL. You're going to hear that a lot. Name, image, and likeness. And basically, these players pretty soon are going to have to start promoting themselves, promoting their brand to bring in income for themselves, because they're going to be able to do that. The NCAA, the university they play for, are not able to pay them, but they're going to be able to go out and get money on their own. So they're going to need to do that promotion some way. What's the best way to promote yourself? Social media. So these athletes, and they go through training at their university and things like that, but they need to put themselves out there, to make money or do whatever it might be. But again, they're amateur athletes. But that also opens the door of, this guy in his mom's basement that doesn't like the way you're playing can just say whatever he wants behind the keyboard. And so that's all I'm going to say about that. It just drove me nuts. I'll show you Ohio State's response to this. So I'm just going to read it for anyone listening on podcast. Recent social media comments to EJ Liddell, while not from or representative of Ohio State fans, are vile, dangerous, and reflect the worst of humanity. EJ is an outstanding young man who had a tremendous sophomore season, and he was instrumental in our team's success. We will take the necessary actions to address this immediately. That was actually from head coach Chris Holtman. So Ohio State will file a lawsuit on behalf of EJ Liddell because there were threats made and he is under sort of their care. So I just had to share that. And I also want to share this one more image here of this was just a comic book strip that I saw, and this is true in all facets of life. You know, this kid, or this a friend of mine who coaches shared this out, and so I kind of stole it. But like I said earlier, Bob Huggins won his 900th game this past weekend, and he got all these congratulations, and then the next day they lose to Syracuse, and all these people are ragging on him. And this guy's won 900 games at the college level, at the very highest level. And then, so for people to attack EJ Liddell, who is probably the best player on Ohio State, to attack Bob Huggins, one of the top coaches and one of the 4 most winning coaches in all of the country, was just, it is what it is. And part of me understands that that's part of society, but part of me understands that, maybe we need to say something and step up and have these people's back. So I know you got to have thick skin, and I know you got to do this and that, but at the same day, just don't be an asshole too. So that's a good word to live by. So the final thing I'm going to show you, or I'm just going to introduce our ultimate sports movie bracket. We're going to switch you over to a Zoom call here in a minute. But I'm very proud of, all the voting that's been going on, all the things. We are down to the Sweet 16, which we're going to talk about today. But at the end of the Zoom call, I will reveal the Elite 8. So we'll be down to only 8 movies left. So pretty exciting. It's been a lot of work. We've had hundreds and hundreds of votes, which is great over the last couple of weeks. So I will push out the voting, the Google link that everybody can vote on after the show. But again, I appreciate everybody watching, listening. And sometimes I guess, to go off of my last little monologue there, sometimes we don't say thank you enough. So again, thank you to our viewers, our listeners, Joe, everyone behind the scenes for doing what we do. And on Thursday's show, I would like to get some callers in and hopefully get a chance to win some of this loot. So again, 330-595-1600. You can always drop us a text too, but to win, you actually have to call in the show live. You can't comment a number or anything like that. So love to hear from you guys in the future, but we're going to switch it over to our Zoom call here. Take a look. And I thought this one was really good. We talked a lot about the movies. We talked a lot about some interesting facts and a lot of the music that's involved with the movies as well. So go ahead and take a listen, and we will talk to you later on. Hey guys, Justin Coffin here, the 330 Sports Show. Joining me as always for our ultimate movie bracket, I have up in the top left corner, I have Brett Franklin, and in the bottom of the screen, we have Greg Kirchner. So first of all, gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
We are going to we're going to talk real quick about our Sweet 16 for our sports movie bracket. We got the 4 baseball movies, 4 basketball, 4 football, and 4 other sports movies. And the voting has actually already been completed. Towards the end of this segment, I'm going to go ahead and reveal the Elite 8. Brett and Greg do not know which teams have advanced, teams, I say teams, but movies have advanced yet. But we will see. We're recording this ahead of, we're recording this on Monday night ahead of Tuesday, March 23rd show. So some of the games have not yet been completed, but towards the end of this recording, we'll also get into sort of our NCAA, like a little bit of thoughts about the first 2 rounds, as they will then be into their Sweet 16. So let's get started then first. And as always, or at least on our first few shows, I started doing our movie mashups. So let's see, I have 5 of them. So I'm going to go 2 for Brett, 2 for Greg, and 1 for whoever answers it first. We'll do that. So Brett, I'll start with you. These are mostly baseball themed, but you'll kind of figure it out as we go. All right, this first one I think is the toughest one we've done so far. So here it goes. This popular Fox TV series, which ran for 8 seasons, has Jack Bauer racing against the clock to subvert terrorist plots and save his nation from ultimate disaster. Meets Chadwick Boseman as Jackie Robinson.
2042.
It's 242. Yeah, 242.
Okay,
that's very
that
good.
was really tough to say.
2042. Yeah.
Yeah, 24 and 42 put together, 242. So yeah, pretty good. All right, I thought that was tough. You did better than I thought. All right, next one. All right.
And Justin, we might get a special guest appearance here from Edgar. He just texted and asked if it was too late to hop on.
Oh, all right. No,
we may get a Moscow sighting. So
okay. All right, very good. All right, here goes the second one.
Should we tell him to hop on?
I did.
Oh, okay. I turned my ringer on silent.
Greg, this one is for you. 4 young friends bound by a tragic accident are reunited when they find themselves being stalked by a hook-wielding maniac in their small seaside town. A rich girl whose family summers on Cape Cod has a roommate with a local pool boy. I think that's supposed to say pool boy, who hopes to become a Major League Baseball player. By the way, Freddie Prinze Jr. stars in both of these movies.
Yeah, gosh, I'm glad the second one was easy to get, because the first one I was having a little trouble with, but I think it's I Know What You Did Last Summer Catch.
There you go.
Very good. And by the way, Edgar, do you know what the hell's going on here? You're turned sideways.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, welcome.
What's up, guys?
Hey, bud.
All right,
Let's
Edgar,
hit him with a mashup right out of
all right, Edgar. Yeah, you joined just in time. We're doing a baseball movie mashup, so this one's for you.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, here it comes. All right. An NYPD officer tries to save his wife and several others taken hostage by German terrorists during a Christmas party at the Nakatomi Plaza in Los Angeles. Meets Neo, the One, Keanu Reeves, an aimless young man who is scalping tickets, gambling, and drinking, agrees to coach a Little League team from Cabrini Green housing project in Chicago as a condition of getting a loan from a friend.
I know the second movie. I can't think of the first one.
All right.
I think the first one you'll be surprised. I think you know it for sure. So a lot of people say, is it a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Die Hard.
Die Hard and what?
Hardball.
Very good. Die Hard.
There we go.
Very good.
Nice.
All right. Not bad. All right. Well, so Franklin and Greg, I'll give you guys one each then here. Since Edgar jumped on late, his ass only gets one. All right. Let me get this going. 31. All right. Brett, this is for you. I cheated a bit. I cheated a bit on the rules on this one. This one's more mashed up than the usuals.
Okay.
This 4-award Oscar winner starring Tommy Lee Jones, Javier Bardem, and Josh Brolin, in which violence and mayhem ensue after a hunter stumbles upon a drug deal gone wrong and more than $2 million in cash near the Rio Grande, meets a dramatization of the Black Sox scandal when the underpaid Chicago White Sox accepted bribes to deliberately lose the 1919 World Series. This is a hard one. If you get this, I'll be very impressed.
The thing is, though, I know both of these movies. I've seen both of them. And I am literally drawing a blank on the names of both of them. In the baseball one we just talked about.
Yeah, it's all right.
Greg's going to get this. I know he's going to get this.
Well, okay, so Charlie Sheen's in the baseball movie, and so is who's the guy from Sweeney from The Cutting Edge.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm not gonna be able to get it because I'm drawing a blank on both of them, and yeah,
That's
I don't
okay.
want to waste time.
No worries.
Is it No Country for Old 8 Men Out?
Very good.
I was trying to think where to put the men there, but yeah.
Yeah. I that's why
That's
I
a good,
kind of cheated on that one, but
That's what I'm like really mad at. I could not think of. Good one, Greg. Good. That's well done.
all right.
Country for Old Men is a great movie.
It is a great movie.
Yeah. Very.
You suck, Franklin. Jeez.
Oh man,
Give him my first one. See if he gets
he's
it.
coming in hot now. He's coming in hot.
Edgar, maybe just a little chin music back. Let's not like throw right at his head here. All right. This one's for Greg. Or, and if Greg can't get it, we'll go to Edgar. Bruce Wayne and new friend Diana Prince join allies with other superheroes to save humanity, meets Jimmy Dugan, reminding you to avoid the clap. Madonna as All the Way May, and Kit Hinson and other star as women's professional baseball league with the Rockford Peaches.
That a Justice League of their own.
Very good. Very good. And this is not a Justice League or superhero type podcast. I know those movies are really popular. I've seen a lot of those, but the one that just came out, it's in theaters, but it's also on HBO Max. I was going to go ahead and like watch that the other night, or at least a little bit of it. The movie's 4 hours and 2 minutes.
It's the director's cut. They actually recommend watching like hour segments, just because it is really you're gonna want to leave after like 2 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like
that's like The Godfather.
It
Yeah.
really is.
It's getting like rave reviews, and I saw Justice League, Batman versus Superman. I saw the first one, and I struggled with it. So I've been reluctant to get into this.
Is this Ben Affleck as Batman?
Yes.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, like if you've seen the Wonder Woman movies, those are really good too. So all those movies, and I'm not really like into superhero stuff, but like, those are really well-made movies. But 4 hours, I think I'm going to take your advice and maybe section that off there.
On a side superhero note, the lady that plays Wonder Woman in 1984, smoking hot.
Who's this? Gal Gadot? You're just realizing Gal Gadot's attractive?
It just came to him.
She should be like in the movies or something. Like she's pretty attractive.
Better, more hotter than Sally Field and Smokey and the Bandit, or is it like?
God.
Now you're making him think. Get it together, Ed.
Oh man. Oh man. Yeah. Okay. So
all right, off to a good start. Welcome, Ed.
Interesting commentary there. So I love it. Oh, here I do have a tidbit. I'm not going to steal Greg's tidbit segment, but Gal Gadot was in the Israeli military, by the way. Back in the day. So yeah,
she is like an expert in like Krav Maga, I think.
Oh yeah, yep.
What the hell's that?
It's like
Israeli. It's like Israeli like martial arts or something.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. It sounded like a poker game or something to me. I didn't know.
It very well could be too.
And you guys play the Wonder Woman slot machine?
Oh my god.
We are off the rails already.
Oh man.
Edgar, what time did you start drinking?
I just got done eating dinner, so I haven't started yet.
All right. Let it settle in. All right. So Edgar, you weren't a part of our pre-recording discussion here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go through each of the 4 regions. So there's 4 movies, there's 4 baseball, 4 basketball, 4 football, 4 other sports. We're going to go through those, but we're not going to like go in depth at all. So what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about them a little bit. Greg is going to give like us one little piece of information at his tidbit segment. And Franklin is going to give us some information on the music aspect of it. So if you have anything to add, when they're, I'll throw it to you. And if you don't, that's fine. We'll move on too. Okay. Sound good?
All right.
There's a few, Edgar, there's a few of the tidbits I'll make interactive on, especially on some of the movies you like, because I think you might know my Rudy one. I'll see you know it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of, I'll tell you what, we're actually going to start with the very first one we did, like our breakdown of, we did the basketball region. So that's what we're going to start with first. So here are our final four in the basketball region for the Sweet 16. So we have White Men Can't Jump, we have Hoosiers, we have Coach Carter, and we got Above the Rim. So, a lot of chalk in these brackets. So the 1 seed in White Men Can't Jump, the 2 seed in Hoosiers, 3 seed Coach Carter, and then Above the Rim is the 5 seed. So not really a big upset as it took down Blue Chips. So we're going to start with Greg. So why don't you go through your tidbits about this, and then we'll go to Franklin on the music side.
All right. This is funny because I literally just scanned in my basketball section, realized I literally had one job to do, come up with 16 tidbits. I forgot Coach Carter. So we're going to do Coach Carter on the run, but we're going to start. So first tidbit, White Men Can't Jump. This is interesting. So Gary Payton, the glove, makes an uncredited appearance in this movie as one of the street basketball players.
Okay.
I don't know where. I tried to Google like where he is in it, but I couldn't find anything like in a quick search. But that would be interesting the next time people watch that movie to see if they can find Gary Payton.
Okay, I love that.
I bet he was
that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I bet he was a street ball player too. You could just tell. Trash talker.
Would they have put like a wig on him to kind of cover it up a little bit? Because
that would have been where he was probably early in his career at that point. If he was even.
Yeah, see, I only remember him being like a shaved head, so that's why I would.
Yeah. But I mean, he probably wasn't even really Gary Payton at the time,
True.
Like,
yeah.
not recognizable.
Okay.
So.
All right.
So Hoosiers, a lot of good ones with Hoosiers. The guy who played Jimmy Chitwood, his name's Maris Valianis. So when he took the last shot in the championship game, he was basically told that, the way the take was set up, the fans were going to rush the court no matter whether he made it or missed it.
Okay.
So, and I guess when in rehearsals he was missing that shot like crazy, but luckily he hit it on the first attempt when the cameras were rolling, so they only had to do it once.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good.
So I just found one. Thank goodness for IMDb. So Coach Carter. So this is interesting. Channing Tatum had never played basketball before making this movie.
No.
And he had individual training. You see a lot of this in movies. It's kind of crazy with the things that some actors go through. But yeah, he had trainers and coaches to get him up to speed, and it worked.
That's awesome.
And then the last one, and I'll admit it's been a while since I've seen Above the Rim. But it was a little sparse trying to find tidbits, but this is kind of cool. So the main character in that movie, Kyle, ended up going to Georgetown and starting to play for Georgetown in 1994 as a point guard. Well, does anybody know the great point guard that happened to also start playing for Georgetown in 1994?
I do.
Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So because of that, a lot of people think that this movie is based on like Allen Iverson, but the reality was that, this movie was pretty much like written and sort of started going in 1990, back when Allen Iverson would have been freshman or sophomore in high school. So it really is just ironically follows the path of Allen Iverson, but it has, nothing to really do with him.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good fact. Very good. All right, Franklin, let's go to you on the music side of things.
Yeah, so a lot of what I'm doing here is just more of like I went through the soundtracks, as you know, we had kind of discussed in you know, off air. There's a lot of music that gets played through movies. You can see the credits at the end. There's just countless numbers of songs. I'm not going to go through that. There's just too many. So I try to keep it to the soundtracks. So some of these are just scores, where you know, just the music. Other ones are various artists, and you know, ones that we're kind of traditionally used to. So starting with basketball, I kind of gave a little tidbit before that there was a movie that was rather lackluster in terms of its soundtrack, and it is White Men Can't Jump. It really wasn't that good. Going through it, I listened to every one of the songs. Most of them were, you know, minute and a half snippets of them, but the best one on there was, oddly enough, Aretha Franklin, "If I Lose," which you wouldn't think in that kind of movie that Aretha Franklin would be standing out, but she did. That was actually the pretty good song on a rather, you know, poor soundtrack.
Okay.
Hoosiers was a score. So there's not much going on here. It's just a bunch of musical composition. Hoosiers was kind of a little rough around the edges. A lot of the composition was the same instruments, same general sounds. So, you know, there wasn't much variation, which is something I like. But the theme I thought was the best. And so I have kind of found that, I think, in a lot of these, that the theme was usually the best one of the group, more or less, because I think it's the iconic one that we all remember. The one thing too, though, about Hoosiers, in this, we're not necessarily Hoosiers, but the rest of these that are scores, is the names are really funny. It's literally like date night, left the house. Like, it's just simple things. Like, so I found the names pretty hilarious for, like, it's just so basic, but it's, you know, Coach Carter.
Nora Fleener berates every other song.
So Coach Carter and Above the Rim, I thought, were the two best here. Coach Carter, I kind of was flipping back and forth between with Sierra. She's on there with Roll With It. And then, but I think the best one on here is Faith Evans with Twista on Hope.
Okay.
And then Above the Rim, there is no comparison to this. Is probably one of the best songs on any of these movies. Nate Dogg and Warren G, Regulate. Yeah. I don't think I'm getting anybody to disagree with me there.
No, that one wins hands down, I think. All right, that's good. That's good stuff, Franklin. So Edgar, you know, like, you jumping in late, I didn't really have like a category for you. So do you have any thoughts, I guess, real quick on these last movies?
I guess with just what I asked you guys off air over the weekend, it was Hinkle Fieldhouse that they used in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
So that was built in 1920.
Wow.
That's my tidbit. I heard that yesterday.
Okay.
During games.
And it's pretty cool on the afternoon games. Like, the sunlight actually like creeps in, which is just you just don't see that anymore. It's like super cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right. Good stuff. Next, we're going to move on to our baseball region. So in our baseball region, and the winner from the basketball region will take on the winner from the baseball region. So I'm going to bring that up right now. And in the baseball region, we have Major League as the 1 seed. We have Field of Dreams as the 2 seed, The Natural as the 3 seed, and A League of Their Own as the 4 seed, which if you didn't, watch our last show, A League of Their Own and Sandlot actually tied. They both had 45 votes. So I sent out a message and, the tie was broken. A League of Their Own had won. So we put that one up 46-45. So real close matchup there. So Greg, we'll start with you and you can go in any order you want. So.
Okay. Yeah, this is my favorite. This is my favorite group of tidbits here. So Major League, and this is a scene. It's kind of a low key, really cool scene. Probably one of the few Jake and Lynn scenes that are good is when he tails her home and ends up being her boyfriend's apartment. And he says that he makes the league minimum. So in 1989, the MLB salary minimum was $68,000 a year.
Wow.
The average household income was roughly about $30,000. So he was doing all right. In today's dollars, that equates to about $144,000. But the league minimum in 2020 for the Major League Baseball was $563,500.
Wow.
Clearly, the collective bargaining agreements became very favorable to players. But either way, Jake Taylor certainly made enough to not drive the worst car ever imaginable around town.
He had to make a little bit more money to get some of those Mexican League people off the bat.
And I guess while we're talking about that scene, just real quick, one thing, and this might be a good Edgar take or whatever, but like, what is the deal with the elevator opening up into the guy's apartment? I've never understood that. Like, he literally
Just to show you how rich he is.
But why he walks in off the street, goes up the elevator, and it opens up to the guy's apartment? Like,
he can just walk right in. Yeah.
It's like the penthouse.
I know.
But you think there'd be security. That's his point. Like, where's the security to stop that?
Yeah. And his front door is the elevator. Like, I just always wondered what the deal was with that. Anyway, I just seen it.
It is a good point.
I mean, yeah. I guess go ahead. What was that?
Just stay away from her.
Suck my dick. Such a good scene.
Oh man,
we are off the rails today. We totally are.
Moving on to Field of Dreams. And you baseball purists might know this, but I didn't actually know this. Shoeless Joe Jackson was a left-handed hitter. Ray Liotta bats right-handed in the movie. So he had like no baseball experience whatsoever, but he was a right-handed hitter. But he actually worked really hard and had a decent looking right-handed swing. And in that scene at the beginning, I think when they first have that encounter and Costner's pitching him pitches and he hits that line drive right back that hits like the bag of balls and Costner falls over, that was not scripted. It just kind of happened. Costner's fall was real, and like a true professional, he stayed in character. Great scene.
Consummate professional.
Cameras are rolling. Yeah.
Spouting that off just made Greg's night.
So good. I just hope I did him proud.
No, a couple of, and again, I don't want to steal your thunder here, but a couple of things, like you said. So Ray Liotta did basically the exact opposite, like hitting. And so Ray Liotta, would you say he hits right and throws left?
Yes, I didn't say throw left, but I think you're right. I think he did throw left. I just mentioned the hitting, but yeah, okay. I think you're right. I think the opposite.
And then just something random I had heard some interview a long time ago at the kind of one of the more famous scenes towards the end of the movie when he says, "Can we have a catch?" Most of us would say, "Can we play catch?" I guess that is kind of like a nod to like East Coast, like a New York, New Jersey type thing. So I don't know if maybe that's where he grew up, but apparently in New York and New Jersey, you say have a catch, not play catch, like we would have grown up saying. So I thought that was interesting too.
That's really interesting. I think everybody's kind of always wondered about that scene.
Yeah. So that's a movie I would like to dive deeper into eventually. So. All right. So you
next one. This might be the most random of all of them. So The Natural. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the professional wrestler Bret the Hitman Hart. So his catchphrase, "The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be," was actually taken from Roy Hobbs in this movie.
Nice.
Because
okay.
I don't know that Hobbs says that exactly, but he says that's part of what gets him shot by Barbara Hershey at the beginning of the movie, besides her just being a terrible person. That he's very arrogant about his career, and he says he wants to be the best that there ever was, and she didn't like that. So
well, that makes me want to bring back my old fantasy team name this year, the Hitmen.
So I bet we didn't talk about WWE today, but there we go.
And another Barbara Hershey name drop.
And then the last one. So I apologize if you guys might just look at me and be like, didn't you know this? Like, this is so obvious. But I was shocked when I saw this that I didn't think of this before. So in League of Their Own, there is like an egregious baseball strategy error at the end of this movie. So when Dottie Hinson comes up in the last inning, down 1, 2 outs, there's runners on 3rd and 2nd when she comes up. She is literally the greatest hitter. She is Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, and Mantle like rolled up into one. Wow. Why did they pitch to her?
Yeah.
So they did. She got the hit. Obviously, it worked out. But I wonder if that was even considered. Like, I wonder if there's like a scene where. I wonder if there's like a deleted scene where the manager like puts the 4 up and Kit's like, no, I'm pitching to her. Like, I could see that. I could see Kit not wanting to walk her, but never thought about that. Put her on.
That's a great.
Well, it goes with the over dramatization that we talked about last time.
Yeah.
So did they do it on purpose? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, if it followed the story, then yeah, that is an egregious error.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. That's like, and we'll talk more about Major League, but that's kind of like how people will say, they kind of like skipped some players in the batting order to actually make that last scene happen. But that's another podcast we can dive into another time. But that's a really interesting point. I never thought, maybe you want to walk the Barry Bonds of their time, or the Mike Trout of their time.
Yeah.
All right, Franklin, you want to take over on the music department?
Yeah. So we'll do, kind of do the same thing we did here. I do have a handful of tidbits for this one though.
Sure.
But I'm gonna ask Ed a question to get him to join in this a little bit. I'm gonna start with Major League. Ed, what's the best song on this soundtrack? It. What'd you say?
Wild Thing.
There you go. Chip Taylor, Wild Thing. There actually really isn't another song that's like really all that good. There's
Pennant Fever.
I should say, sorry, not traditional, like some of these baseball songs, but like there were like a lot of the songs that were written that they included in it just really weren't that great. There's nothing that was overly terrible, but just it was okay.
What's the name of the song at the beginning of the movie?
I was just gonna say that. I like the opening song.
Yeah.
I think it was Randy Newman. Was it Randy Newman?
Yes, it was. That is Randy Newman. Yeah.
Which is going to bring up another point here in a little bit. So we'll get, but I believe it was Randy Newman. So the next one, we'll get into Field of Dreams. So this is a score. This is actually probably one of the most depressing scores I've heard. Everything's super slow, super methodical, kind of low key. Like we talked about the goofy names, that these did have them. But one of them, James Horner, he wrote all the music for this soundtrack. There's one song called Old Ball Players, and it's actually upbeat. It's sort of got a little big band kind of aspect to it.
Okay.
Not completely off the wall, but there's some different instrumentation. It's pretty nice. There's, again, everything else is a little downtrodden, so it's sort of, if you need to feel nostalgic about it, go for it, but there's not much to it.
But I wonder if that's the part. It's sounding familiar. I wonder if that's the part when all the guys are kind of screwing around, and there's that one part where it is kind of upbeat and it's all the guys.
It could be it's hard to say, because I don't know if they did the songs kind of in order of the movie.
I think it's when Archie Graham shows up and they kind of like, you know, they have those kind of fun.
Yeah, this song in terms of the soundtrack was towards the middle of it, so it's hard it's hard to say when it comes into play. Some things are very much okay, like here's the beginning, here's the end. They kind of talked about that, at least in terms of the names, but yeah, it very well could be. I'll, you know, if anyone is looking for it, I could shoot them a link to the song. So next one, we'll get to the natural. So this was all done by, it's a score as well, but one Randy Newman.
Yeah.
There's no lyrics to this. Everything is a song. And there were actually a couple of pretty good ones that I really enjoyed. My favorite though was Knock the Cover Off the Ball.
Okay.
Told you, very direct in the name. The next one, I have it listed as a very close second, was called The Whammer Strikes Out. So those are pretty cool. Like I said, it's all very nice compositions, but most of their orchestral pieces, so it has the strings and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Those I thought were the best.
Okay.
Lastly, League of Their Own. So I got a couple tidbits for this one. First, Justin, we talked about this, but I don't know if the other two knew. So Madonna had the big single that came with this movie, but this song actually was not on the soundtrack. And since my songs are based off of songs on the soundtrack, it wasn't included. There was a contractual issue with her song being included on the soundtrack, so it was never there.
Very interesting.
All songs are also covers from that time period. So none of these are original songs. They're everything on the soundtrack are covers, and they asked the musicians to play play variations to their style. So my favorite of these songs was James Taylor, It's Only a Paper Moon. Which was it's a very nice song. And he did it in a very James Taylor kind of way. It's a little bit more upbeat. I know he's got some slower tracks, but he actually had 2 songs on the album, but that one was the best one.
Very good. Very good. Love it.
I did my homework.
Yeah, you really did. Randy Newman also I Love LA, which is the song in the Naked Gun one.
Well, he also he had another song on what was it? For Love of the Game too, I believe.
Okay.
I think he was on that soundtrack as well.
I think he was too, yeah.
Not the greatest, most lovable voice you've ever heard. You know, like he's got that. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
But it's unique. That's it's kind of something I like. It's unique. I'm not a Randy Newman like super fan or anything, but
right.
His voice is unique, and I think even things like Toy Story, when you hear "You've Got a Friend in Me," like that, those I kind of like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, obviously had a ton of talent to just produce this stuff. So very
I can't imagine how much money he's made off of Toy Story alone.
a ton. Him and Lyle love it. That one song alone.
Yeah.
All right, we ready? Edgar, you got any more thoughts on the baseball region? You good?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. We will go now to the football Final Four. So we are in the football region, and we have Rudy, the 1 seed. We have Varsity Blues, the 2 seed. Remember the Titans, the 3 seed, and the replacements, which again, we mentioned there was a tie. The replacements actually was in a tie earlier in the bracket and had advanced. It was actually a tie in the first round, and then won easily in the second round to get to this point. So, so Greg, we'll start with you on, and again, you can go in any order you want.
All right, we'll start with Rudy Edgar. Listen up on this one. So there, if you remember the scene where it was I was after Rudy's first year playing at Notre Dame under Ara Parseghian. He goes into his office and asks him if he could dress his senior year. Ara says yes. When he got in, Ara was watching game film.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what game he was watching film of when Rudy went into his office?
I want to say USC.
he was actually watching game film of the actual game that Rudy Rudiger played, the Georgia Tech game.
Oh yeah,
That was what he was watching. Yep.
That's really cool.
So,
That's a great tidbit.
now you know. Every year we're competing for the national championship.
and then I guess it's a tidbit / then I'm going to jump into a nitpick here. Like, they fired or Era quit, and like the same day it was like D-Bob's like, who's the replacement? Oh, Dave Devine from the Green Bay Packers. 3 hours after Era quit, they had like a replacement in place. Not sure it really happened that way, but maybe it did. It is Notre Dame.
I don't know.
Okay.
And you should know, of all people, you should know.
Yeah.
Even thought of yet, Franklin. So
Varsity Blues, for all we've talked about Varsity Blues, I'm not sure we talked about arguably the most iconic scene of Varsity Blues, the whipped cream bikini.
Ooh.
So
Ed, what's your comment on this?
where are the cherries at?
well, guess what? If you would have licked the cherries off of her, you would have got a little Barbasol in your mouth because it was actually shaving cream.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which makes sense. Which actually makes sense when
Makes sense.
it, like,
Whipped cream would have melted away.
yeah,
in those
exactly.
lights.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, that was our Ali Larder's film debut too. And
Oh, okay. All right.
quite nice job.
Yes. Fantastic job.
The replacements. So this team was actually loosely based on the 1987 Washington Redskins, and I can call them that because that's what they were in '87. They had basically, there was a strike that year. They had 3 replacement games. They won all of those games. Then the real Redskins took over in week 7, won the Super Bowl. And for 30 years after that, they basically never even acknowledged the contributions of the replacement players to that season. But then finally in 2018, they got Super Bowl rings from.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So
that's really cool. That's awesome.
Was the quarterback for the replacements really from Ohio State?
Good question. Not sure.
I want to say the actual Super Bowl quarterback was Doug Williams.
Yes. And I remember that Super Bowl. They beat the
yeah.
crap out of Denver.
And
I remember that Super Bowl.
Which should have been them beating the crap out of the Cleveland Browns.
That is, we deserve to get our ass kicked in that Super Bowl. And then the last one, it's surprisingly kind of vanilla. Like, remember the Titans? You think there'd be more. But one of the cool things is, I guess the original script of Remember the Titans had a lot of swear words. It was a totally different kind of tone, but because it was a Disney movie, they cleaned it up. But this would be an interesting movie. Did we talk about that? Like what a PG-13 or like an R-rated version of Remember the Titans would be like? It's obviously a very different movie, but not sure.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be bad.
It'd be a little darker, I would think.
Yeah. There's a lot of places they could go with that they did. It was a Disney movie.
Interesting.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. All right, Brett, go ahead with the music.
Yeah. So I'm gonna. I know this is Ed's fave, this movie. So I'm gonna start right there. So this was another score. Jerry Goldsmith. He wrote all the music for this. To me, of all the movies that are the scores, this is the best one. And I think it has some of the most iconic ones. The one I thought was the best was called Take Us Out. So again, it's tough to tell you. I mean, without knowing where it's placed, stuff like that, it's tough to tell you. But to me, that one was the best one. But it was closely followed by 2 that we know very well, and even Greg just talked about. One is the main theme of the movie, and the other one is the song during the tryouts.
Yes.
It's literally called Tryouts.
Yeah.
So to me, those were the best ones. I think top to bottom, this was of the ones that were the scores. This one was the best, and it really wasn't all that close. The next, Varsity Blues. Greg and I have talked about this, and I believe we mentioned this, I think maybe last week, but Foo Fighters, My Hero, to me is the greatest sports song that I've ever heard, at least in terms of the way it was interacted with this movie.
Yep.
Not fast, my friend. I gotta say, AC Thunderstruck.
Yeah. Hey, Ed, that's okay, man. That's what makes music beautiful.
Yep.
But
we love the movie. We have two different favorite songs in it. That's
honestly, to agree with both of you, you really can't go wrong with either one of those two songs.
No, it actually was one of the ones, like I had kind of listed a few like of these, but I knew Foo Fighters just because it's something Greg and I have talked about, and I've thought about this since, back when the movie was released. I just thought it's been one of the best songs in any sports movie.
It makes me think of Billy Bob saying to put him in, they'll block the punt, and it cranks up, and it's like, all right, I'm ready to go block this punt too.
Yeah, then they have that drum beat at first, like just as it starts. Yeah.
So good.
I'm already getting pumped up thinking about it. So anyway, we'll move along. I'm just going in order, by the way. So Remember the Titans is next. This one was a really good album. I actually didn't know. There's a lot of good music from it. I think R&B from that time was just so good. But there's just so many good songs on this. My favorite of the songs on there, though, was Norman Greenbaum's "Spirit in the Sky."
Yep.
That is just so good. But there are two Marvin Gaye songs on here that are obviously phenomenal as well. I Heard It Through the Grapevine was the first one, and then he sang another song with Tammy Terrell, "Ain't No Mountain High Enough."
Oh.
And those, I listened, like I said, kind of like I did with a lot of them. I listened through these today just as much as I could, and man, that was such a good album. I never really paid close attention to it, but I kind of wish I did because there's so many good songs. The last one is, sorry, what was that, Ed?
Another good one from that movie is Born on the Bayou.
Yes, yeah, no, there's a ton of great songs on that whole entire album. You really can't go wrong with it. The last one was The Replacements. I just have a note here that there's a ton of great tracks, and so I was clearly digging it. To me, the best one that was here, and it's just because I really enjoy the hell out of it. Young MC, Bust a Move.
Okay.
There you go.
So there's, I think football had the best of the songs of all of these. I think there's good songs that all kind of over the place, but I think football had the best collection of music on the soundtracks.
And there's that famous scene in The Replacements where they're all in jail after that bar fight, and they do the "I Will Survive" kind of.
Yeah, actually, The Replacements soundtrack was like 24 songs. Wow. I had to look it up just to make sure I wasn't being like kind of duped into no, it was legitimately 24 songs.
And then do they use the David Bowie Heroes, or do they use the Wallflowers version of the Heroes? Do you know?
You know what though? Actually, when I was trying to listen to it, it was blocked. That one was blocked out. I will have to look that up. I did have this, I had the list up as I was listening to it.
Yeah.
But I just kind of, after that point, I just kind of skipped over. I would imagine at that point of that, with The Replacements was early 90s, wasn't it?
No, it was early
2000s,
I think.
Oh, was it? Okay, then I'm drawing a blank. I'm mixing.
I think it was Jacob Dylan. So isn't that?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think
that would have been Wallflowers. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think it was Wallflowers. Yeah, that was the first thing that popped in my mind when you said it, but I had forgotten about the movie.
David Bowie would have been better in my opinion, but yeah. I'm okay with it. Heroes is a good song.
But Franklin, I think you're right on point there. I think football blows every other one away.
Yeah, there wasn't a bad soundtrack in this whole thing.
Edgar, thoughts on the football region?
Just a quick question, Franklin. What song were they playing when they were doing their line dance in the end zone?
For Remember the Titans?
No, in The Replacements.
Replacements.
Ooh,
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. Do you?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. I thought this was like a trivia question.
No.
I will look it up. I will find out.
I just can't remember off
It's
the top
it's
of
what
my-
Google's really for. So let's let's use it.
Okay. That was interesting.
Go ahead, Justin.
Oh no, I was just gonna say pretty much every song, like the tryouts for me from Rudy, that's to me the iconic song, not the main title. Like you even hear that as like, I think that's like Walt Disney's one of their main themes they use to advertise their theme parks. But that song, just like, instrumental music sometimes doesn't always hit home for a lot of people, but that song will give you chills up your spine, if you're like really into the movie. So
yeah, like I said, I think the one I mentioned, if once you hear it, you'll be like, oh yeah, you'll know what it is. That's what. But the trials is so damn good too. It gives you chills.
Yeah.
That's
Take Me Out must be when he's taking him out on the field, would be my guess.
Yeah. But probably one of the best montages is the tryout scene.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
The speech, like the coach's speech. Oh yeah.
I got the chills right now just thinking about it.
Was Johnny Cash Ring of Fire on the soundtrack? It probably wasn't on the soundtrack, right?
Which one? Which movie?
Johnny Cash Ring of Fire, because that's what's playing in the bar when
Oh no. Yeah, so the soundtrack didn't. It just everything was just a score.
Just the score.
Yeah. So Ed, to answer Ed's question, I think this might be it. I think it's called If Everybody Looked the Same. I want to look into this a little bit, but that's the answer I got on Google.
Oh, okay.
So I'll have to see what it is. But anyway, let's move on.
All right, let's go on to our other sports region. This is our final region of the sports bracket here. So our final 4 movies, and again, a lot of people might say, well, why is Happy Gilmore number 17? Why is Cool Runnings 21? Karate Kid 18? Rocky especially 35? Again, these movies, what I did from the beginning, because we had 48 movies in this category, 17. Happy Gilmore played the 48 team, and all the first 1 through 16 had buys. So we, if you listen to previous podcasts, this is probably redundant, but again, you're not going to see very many high seeds left here. Happy Gilmore 17 and Karate Kid 18, Cool Runnings 21 and Rocky 35. So Happy Gilmore and Cool Runnings matched up. Karate Kid and Rocky matched up, and I'll reveal these brackets here in a minute for the Elite Eight. But another just awesome 4 movies. Now, if you would have told me right from the beginning to pick my 4 top other sports movies, I don't know if Cool Runnings or the Karate Kid would have made it. Probably Rocky and Happy Gilmore would have. But this is the most intriguing bracket to me because of how we got here. So just kind of some interesting things. So Greg, why don't you start with and again, you can go in any order you want, and some interesting things you found out about some of these movies.
Yep, absolutely. We'll start with Rocky and we'll go to Rocky 4 because I think we kind of talked about that was sort of our favorite. So, and Edgar, again, you might know this one. So I guess Sylvester Stallone, who he decided that, when he wanted him and Dolph Lundgren to hit each other for real in the fight. Yeah, that was a big mistake. I could have probably told you that. Anybody could have probably told him that. Have you seen Dolph Lundgren? But I guess Stallone took like 3 shots to the ribs from Dolph and felt some burning in his chest, ignored it. Later on that night, had difficulty breathing, taken to an emergency room. His blood pressure was over 200. He was flown on a low altitude flight from Canada to Santa Monica to a hospital where he was in intensive care for 4 days.
Wow.
And that part is going to be disturbing. Lundgren hit him so hard in the chest, his heart slammed up against his breastbone and began to swell, cutting off the blood supply and restricting oxygen flow throughout.
Oh,
Wow.
So,
wow.
so Ivan Drago hits hard.
Ivan Drago hits like Soda Popinski from Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Great
Yeah.
reference.
Edgar, did you know that one?
I did not actually.
That is
I did
actually, Greg, that actually, to me, that might be one of your best tidbits. That's
Scary.
yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I know. Carl Weathers, they had some real hits in the first two. I did not know about
Yeah.
Drago and Stallone there.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, that's scary. It
Very.
didn't say like if then I assume then they stopped hitting for real, but I don't know. But there are some intense blows in that fight, and clearly it's
Yeah.
because they actually were hitting each other. So
Wow.
Here's a tidbit. Did you know they actually filmed it in Wyoming, the part for Russia?
I did not.
Okay. I did not. That locale makes sense because there's not a whole lot of people around. You have some low areas of flat land, but you also have some mountainous regions.
You have the mountains with the snow. Yeah, that really does make sense.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
All right, Happy Gilmore. So I can't resist a good Kevin Costner tidbit. So this is interesting. Kevin Costner was offered the role of Shooter McGavin, but declined. That would not have worked at all.
No.
So some good move by Costner, and then then Tin Cup probably doesn't happen if he played Shooter. So,
Sure.
Yeah, that was sometimes you hear a lot of these, and it's sometimes these actors, it's not just the roles they take, but sometimes it's the roles they pass on too, and that was a good pass on Costner's part. Cool Running. So a little depressing here, but this was the final John Candy film to release before he died of a heart attack. He died 5 months after release while filming a movie called Wagons East, which was released after his death.
Yeah.
In peace, John Candy. I didn't realize this was his last movie.
I do remember, because I remember that time that I remember being really disheartened when he passed.
Yeah, that was rough. Yeah. And then the last one, this is one again where I'm kind of like, I feel like I should know this, and maybe at one point I did know this, but I guess for the Karate Kid, Pat Morita, he actually in real life spoke perfect English with no accent whatsoever. I didn't know that. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Wow.
He was abused then because he had the same accent in Happy Days. Like, oh man.
But yeah, he modeled the accent after his uncle. So, but yeah, he trolled all of us. He was perfect English, no accent.
Interesting. Okay. Edgar, you got any good more nuggets of knowledge there?
Honestly, I just can't wait for Happy Gilmore 2 to come out. 25 years out.
I am looking forward to it. I think it'll be really fun. If they can pull it off getting it together. I think they will, but yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, the two YouTube videos between Shooter and Sandler were pretty amazing.
They had them on like a podcast, I think. Maybe it was actually an interview, but I remember them having like they were on and they both were like, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
You think that'll be better than Top Gun 2?
Yeah,
think so.
Yeah, I would think so.
In my book, yes.
But I'm not a huge Top Gun fan either. So
yeah. Okay.
I mean, in a movie, but like Cobra Kai, the spinoff of the Karate Kid, it's amazing what they've done to it.
Yeah.
So I would imagine Happy Gilmore 2 would be good.
Yeah. Edgar, I gotta give you credit for I've seen all 3 seasons now of Cobra Kai, and I think I watched them all in 1 month, from like around Christmas break until probably like, I don't know, the end of January. But that's a really easily binge worthy show. So you can really get it that fast. So
can't wait for 4.
All right, Franklin, you're up for music.
Yeah, so these are all over the place. So I'm just going to go down in just in the order that I wrote them. So I'm gonna start with Happy Gilmore. This one actually had quite a few good songs on it, obviously, which we would expect out of an Adam Sandler movie. My favorite though was House of Pain, Jump Around, which I think would seem a little obvious for me, but it was. Some other really great ones though, obviously, were Leonard Skinner, Tuesday Is Gone, and Kansas, Carry On, Wayward Son. Those were all some really good ones. But Jump Around, I love that song. So it took the cake there.
Solid.
Cool Runnings was mostly a reggae soundtrack. So they had some Bob Marley on there. Wasn't a song I was really excited about. And most of the songs, again, reggae is not really my thing. But one great one that they did have in there, we all know his name, Jimmy Cliff. I Can See Clearly Now.
Yes, very good.
So that, to me, it didn't even matter. Like, that was going to be the number one song, regardless of what else was on there. So Karate Kid, this one was a little lackluster. Like, we've had a handful of them so far, but this one was the standout track to me, and I think it's the most iconic one of this movie by far, and it is Joe, quote unquote, Bean Esposito, You Are the Best.
Oh, yes.
You can fill in the blank and the rest after that. So the last one here though was Rocky, and we talked about this. The one thing I did with this is I just kept it to the original soundtrack and the original movie. I wasn't going to go through 5 of these things and try and take the best one of all of them. During the first one, though, this was a score movie, so there wasn't any songs on the soundtrack itself that had, lyrical composition to it. To me, the best one. There's a handful of people that wrote it, so no one in particular, but it's called "Gonna Fly Now," and that is the opening track. That's the most well-known song on this movie. It's one we all grew accustomed to.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. Well, and Moscow, I'm gonna let you chime in on this music aspect of Rocky here. So, what's your thoughts on if you had to pick your favorite or whatever?
Oh, by far, Rocky IV, best soundtrack.
Okay.
Survivor, Eye of the Tiger.
How about Living in America, James Brown?
Yeah, James Brown.
Yeah.
Heart and Fire.
It's really funny to see the I know, I mean, it's 4 movies or 3 movies later, but to see how it went on the first one where they were doing a musical score, they were kind of like, it was like one of the songs on Rocky, I mentioned it before, was literally called Date Night. or
right.
or First Date, one of the two. Like, this was the first time he takes Adrian out, and so then you get over to Rocky IV, and we've talked about that montage where you had, was it Survivor playing during that part, or what song was playing during his car driving?
That was No Easy Way Out.
No Easy Way Out. Okay, yeah.
Pretty sure that is.
Then you had all these montages in Rocky IV that had these iconic 80s songs with them, and I think, and so to see the dichotomy between from where they started and where they got to, I think that it's actually fun to see that.
Yeah, agreed. So,
Greg, I know you'll probably be a fan with Karate Kid Part 2. There's a bunch of Peter Cetera songs.
Yes, there was a couple Peter Cetera songs scattered throughout the Karate Kid world. I did leave them out though.
Well, and I think with those Rocky, the first Rocky, I believe, was 1976, but a lot of the Rocky series takes place in the 80s, as well as the Karate Kid. And I think we all know, growing up, we don't remember the early 80s, but late 80s, early 90s, there's a lot of really good music and there's a lot of really bad music. That's kind of what the 80s is known for. Edgar, I know you got a soft spot for the 80s, Chicago and all those, there is a lot of really good music in there. So,
yeah. So I may have an answer. I don't know to Ed's question. there was a scene in The Replacements where they were dancing in a bar, and it was to "I Will Survive," the original. Did they dance to the
Yeah,
same song in the end zone?
Ah,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that might. I was gonna say, yeah. Was it a Gloria Gaynor?
yes, yes.
Yeah. So that would be, yes. That would, to answer your question, Ed. There we go.
There we go.
I just thought I'd give a real quick. These are all the movies here that did make our final bracket. You know, we're not going through them all, but you know, you can just imagine, you know, we are down to the Sweet 16, and in just in a minute here, we're going to be down to the Elite Eight. So I just wanted to just kind of show these on the screen. You know, if you're watching at home, and we're losing people left and right, Greg and Edgar. Greg, can
Sorry, I'm back. I've been having some issues. So I took my video off because.
Oh, that's fine. No worries. No worries. Just making sure everybody's with us. So, so again, you know, if you're watching on video, you're going to be able to read these. But again, you know, all 64, and truly, we had 96 movies to start with because we had 48 other, 48 baseball, basketball, and football, and then 48 other sports. So pretty impressive to get down to this point. We're in the final like week and a half or so of our sports bracket. So appreciate everyone out there voting and continuing on, and appreciate you guys for all your knowledge. So what I'm going to do next, Greg, you're able to see and everything, see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reveal the Elite Eight, and I'll show you guys the voting after this. But here are the teams. Again, I say teams, but here are the movies that have advanced to the Elite Eight based on viewers voting. So we have the 1 and 2 seed Major League and Field of Dreams in the baseball. We have the 1 and 2 seed White Men Can't Jump and Hoosiers in the basketball region. We have the number 1 and the number 3 seed Rudy and Remember the Titans, and we have Happy Gilmore and Rocky, which have advanced. So a bit of an upset. Remember the Titans. I would say if the betting odds were probably on Varsity Blues, but you know, Remember the Titans has took it with the voting there.
I got something right on a bracket.
Yeah,
I do remember early on, I thought Remember the Titans would be a tough out.
Yes.
So
I guess, you know, just maybe initial reactions to the Elite Eight here.
The other bracket, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's going to be a tough one. I already know which way I'm voting, but boy, that's a tough one. That's going to be, I think that might be the closest of all of them.
Okay.
Well, I think this clinches. We're definitely got to do a deep dive on Varsity Blues now.
Yes.
Why did it get ousted?
Yeah, we need to figure. Yeah.
Where are the flaws?
We need to do a deep dive and then start the entire bracket from scratch again. And
you know what it was? It was the trailer. The trailer did them in.
Yeah, that could be true. That could be my fault. Like I've said from the beginning, like I would put Varsity Blues in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I obviously voted for Varsity Blues, but I think if Varsity Blues was against Rudy, it would have been a very, very tight matchup. But you'll see here in the voting, there were not very many close matchups. So Edgar, what are your thoughts on these 8 movies?
Just by looking at it, I'm surprised Field of Dreams advanced.
Okay.
As for all the other ones, I'm actually not surprised. I voted for Remember the Titans, and that's probably one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think a lot of times it may depend on like the time you grew up or what like resonates with you. You know, Franklin said it from the beginning, Greg said it from the beginning, the rewatchability factor. Remember the Titans is just a movie I think like you can put on, and again, Greg, maybe too, if it had all those F-bombs and like, more swearing in it, maybe it's not quite the family movie and maybe it doesn't have quite the pull. So
yeah, I'm gonna actually relate it a little bit too, though. I just kind of went through all these movies and their soundtracks and how great that one was. Maybe how good so many of the songs and that resonates with people too. Like it just you remember it's things become a little iconic after a while. Yeah.
And that's especially with me. I love Remember the Titans soundtrack. That's probably like I said with the movie, it's probably one of my favorite soundtracks also.
Yeah. Ed's got a 1 versus 3 matchup here to vote against.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with Remember the Titans and Rudy?
I know what he's doing here. We all know what he's doing here.
You all know what
I am. Stand up and show us the shirt.
Shirt already, so come on.
Exactly. Oh man.
Yeah, I bet if you were reseeding though, you would certainly say Major League, Rudy, Remember the Titans, and Rocky probably are your personal top 4 out of these easily, right?
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting these last couple matchups here. So the next thing I'm going to take you through is I'm going to show you guys real quick the seating, or I'm sorry, the voting and how that turned out, and you can kind of see. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So
I can't see any of that.
So,
although I can I can make my screen a little bit bigger though now too.
So
that I'm out of.
I'll just kind of tell you the percentages here. So a Major League one was 71.9% of the vote over A League of Their Own. Field of Dreams was 78.1% of the vote.
Wow.
So that one again, there was
that's shocking actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked, as Cotton would say.
White Men Can't Jump, almost 91% of the vote. So that one wasn't even close. Hoosiers and Coach Carter was, I guess, almost a 3-1 margin there, 73% to 27%. Rudy was the biggest blowout, 96.1% of the vote to only 3.9% of the vote for the replacements. Remember the Titans and Varsity Blues, that was basically a 3/4. So remember that one really surprised me.
Wasn't even close. Yeah.
Remember the Titans, 75.2% of the vote. Varsity Blues only 24.8% of the vote. Happy Gilmore, 84.5% of the vote over Cool Runnings, 15.5%. And then Rocky, that was a legit 3/4 right down. Rocky was 75%, the Karate Kid with 25%. So we are
so yeah, something's got to give here, because every movie in this round won with more than 70% of the vote. So
yeah,
you got to think this round's going to be, you got to think no one movie in this round is going to get more than 60%. That they're all going to be pretty close, I would think.
I agree. And as we get down to the sort of the finish line here, you can see, the cream has risen to the top here, and and based on our preliminary, compiling data, that's sort of the way we thought some of it might play out. There might be some surprises, but overall, a lot of chalk in these regions. So I'm not going to show.
I think with a White Men Can't Jump and Hoosiers, I have a feeling that one might be the biggest disparity.
That's an interesting take.
I think the rest of them will be really close, but I think that matchup might be the one that's not so close.
In which way?
If I had to say, I'd probably say Hoosiers.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I know when we kind of first talked about that, like this bracket, we had one of the questions asked was, which one do we think will win and which do we think should win? And I was the only one, if I remember correctly, who thought that White Men Can't Jump would win. The other ones did think Hoosiers would win. So right now, it might be playing out that way exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. minus my misspelling of Gilmore here. I think the bracket looks pretty good, though. You can't really go wrong with any of these 8 movies. But, I really think these are going to be very, very, very close battles. And then, to see who advances to the baseball, basketball, football, and other sports region, it's going to be a very competitive Final Four and very interesting and intriguing. So, again, I really encourage everyone that's watching this, listens to this regularly, to vote. I'm gonna have these guys share it out on their social medias. I'll have it on our 330 sports page as well, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. So you'll be able to vote there. So make sure you're voting, because the more votes we get, the easier, the more accurate the voting goes. So again, appreciate everyone that keeps voting. Go ahead, Edgar. Andy's first.
Are we only allowed to vote once, or can people vote multiple times?
Well, I could set it up. I have it set up so you can vote unlimited times. So if you want to vote more than once, I'm gonna leave that up to you. But I could set it up in the settings where you could only vote once. But I just left that. I left that go. So yeah, you could vote as many times.
I just wondered. I mean, yeah. Okay.
He's going to eliminate Edgar 2, Edgar 3, Edgar 4. We know this is going away.
Rudy,
we'll be like, we'll be recapping next week. It'd be like, Rudy got 36,732 votes.
So 40.
Oh man.
I mean, if the Russians have anything to do with it.
My question is, Edgar, what happens if Rudy takes on Rocky in the finals? What are you gonna do?
Match made in heaven.
Second place.
He can't lose, but will he vote?
Yeah, that's a good point. I like it. All right. So let me just ask just a couple quick questions here, and I'll put this back up so you guys can see it. But out of the 4 regions, out of the baseball, football, basketball, and other sports, out of those 4 regions, what do you think the strongest region is? What do you think the weakest region is? So
I'm gonna say basketball, in my opinion, is the weakest.
Okay.
And football is the strongest.
Yeah, I'm going to mirror Ed, although I guess in terms of the voting, if we're kind of basing off that, maybe the other sports bracket might have been the weakest, but a lot of the basketball movies I thought were kind of hit and miss to start, so I'm going to go with Ed too. Same deal.
Okay. Greg?
Yeah, it's so close between baseball and football as far as the strongest. I'm going to say baseball was the strongest bracket. And yeah, basketball was, we said it kind of all along. It was a little bit tough after you got outside of the top 2. The top 2 are very formidable, but after that, it was a little shaky.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna say football is the strongest as well. And even though I guess if you go top to bottom, the other sports you could argue. I mean, you got the 17 seed and the 35 seed, and playing to go to the and 1 through 16 was all completely knocked out. So none of those teams won more than 1 game in the their playoff region. So that was interesting. Let me ask this then: what do you think? What's the biggest snub, or which movie do you think, and it could be in any region, that you don't see here, do you think should be here?
Dodgeball.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think Dodgeball should have been there.
Okay. Edgar?
I think go ahead.
I'm going to say A League of Their Own.
Okay.
Varsity Blues, just love it too much. But I do think it was egregious that Bull Durham got knocked out in the first round, going way back. I'm not necessarily saying it should have been this far, but I think that was a huge upset, in my opinion. The biggest.
I voted for Rookie of the Year. Damn it! I am not going to take that slander.
Nothing against Rookie of the Year. Nothing against Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I'm in the Varsity Blues camp. Love that movie so much. I like Franklin's pick of Dodgeball as well. I mean, I'm not going to jump on the Teen Wolf bandwagon, but
wait, because you're still on it, I think.
But I'm just telling you guys, I'll fucking promote that movie. That will be the hill I die on, the Teen Wolf.
There are worse hills to die on. Don't worry.
But no, that's good. And then, final question here: who wins it all?
Oh man.
All right, go ahead.
Rudy or Major League?
I agree. It's who wins.
It's one or the other. You can't pick both.
Well, I just did. So what are you gonna do about it?
All right,
Justin, kick him off.
I will say when this all started, the first one that came to my mind was Major League, and I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, I'm going to do it as well. Major League was always I thought was probably the toughest out, and I'm going to stick with Major League.
Okay. Oh man, I think it's going to be Hoosiers. I think it's
Dark horse.
Hoosiers. I might not even necessarily vote for Hoosiers, but I think it might be based on our demographic of people that are voting. Major League, I would probably put as the betting favorite. And honestly, yeah. I would put the betting favorite as whoever wins the Happy Gilmore Rocky matchup too. Mm-hmm. I would put them as second behind Major League.
You might be onto something, Justin. It is March Madness, so maybe like people got basketball in the mind, so it's possible.
Okay, all right. So
especially if Oral Roberts keeps winning games. It's
oh my God. Oral. Oh, well, perfect transition. So let's transition real quick to March.
It was a little clunky at first when we got there.
Yeah, we now we're into the March Madness segment of the here's what I want to say about March Madness. Like, again, and Franklin, you had to deal with some of our shit this weekend because I'm like, I don't want to hear about your fucking brackets. Everybody's brackets busted. This shit happens every year. You know, like obviously last year was unique because we missed out on this. So I think everybody
looking really good.
Wait, which one?
Baylor, Iowa.
Not anymore.
Lost today.
No shit. No shit. That's a joke.
Oh man.
His punchline needs a little work, but he's getting there. He's getting there.
That's not all that needs a little work. All right. All right. Let's go over sort of what's happening. And again, we're watching what Kansas and USC are playing right now. If I'm correct?
Yeah, I think they just tipped.
And Maryland and Alabama and Colorado, Florida State. Michigan has advanced. So they are at least repping the Big Ten, as painful as that is to say. Interesting fact, though, I heard about Oral Roberts today. Oral Roberts is sort of the school from Footloose. Oral Roberts does not allow dancing on campus.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Are they like a heavy, Protestant Christian school?
Yeah, I don't know the exact. I know they're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I know it's a very religious school, but but I don't know much more about that. I believe Oral Roberts was actually the name of a person. It's not like I actually heard someone thought Ohio State lost to a dental school.
Which, I think Brett, to answer your question, I think it is a really strict school.
Okay.
But,
yeah. I mean, I know a handful of schools. Actually, we have one nearby, like Grove City. They're very much like that too. Westminster's like they're a dry campus. I don't know if they're that strict, but they are in Amish country, so maybe they are.
Yeah. So, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I thought since we started this show with the Sweet 16, after tonight, the NCAA tournament will be down to the Sweet 16. So I guess initial impressions on the first two rounds. First of all, I want to know what you guys think of, and I know my opinion, but what's your opinions on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday instead of Thursday through Sunday?
I kind of like it. I was digging it. I think, we were so used to Thursday, so it's just kind of what we, kind of played with. But I think now that it has moved to that Friday, I think they even talked about it on Saturday before like the games kind of tipped off. But I think they're going to get more of a crowd. Again, Monday, you have less game. You have some games you can play in the afternoon still, but you have more viewership for all the games on Saturday now, whereas before it was on a Thursday and on Friday. So I think they're going to maybe change their model. I could see them doing it.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you this. Do they only do it this year because of COVID purposes, or is this going to be moving forward? Is this going to be the new norm?
I believe, because I asked that question last week, that this is just a COVID thing right now. But I would normally say great minds think alike, but I don't know.
I like the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. What was the appeal to it? I guess just because that's what you knew, or is it was it better set up for you personally?
Well, it's just what I'm used to, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get an honest question. That's all.
Yeah. And Edgar, I'm in that camp too. I prefer the Thursday. Like honestly, and it could have been the same last week too, but I think since Thursday's the first day, as opposed to now it's the second round. The second round is on a Monday. To me, I don't want to say it lost its luster but I was so damn busy at work today being a Monday, I didn't even know about the Iowa-Oregon game. I've tried to keep tabs on it, but I was just so busy that I wasn't able to keep tabs on it as much as I would like. So I prefer the original Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but again, that's just my opinion. Greg?
Yeah.
I'm sort of, I guess I'm sort of indifferent, but I kind of see both sides on this one. I'll kind of play both sides. It's 4 days of basketball is pretty awesome. I would say, Thursday to Sunday is probably my favorite setup. But,
all right. Pick a side, damn it, Greg.
I know.
Don't flip flop here.
I know. I'm flip flopping.
So looking at, I'm gonna just go to the Midwest because this is probably the most interesting.
And by the way, you could pretty much pencil Florida State in, but they're up like 14 with 3 minutes to go.
Okay. All right. So
weren't you high on them, Greg?
Yes.
I thought that's what I thought.
Love Florida State's coach and what he stands for. He's Leonard Hamilton. He is just, I think he's one of the best coaches in all of college basketball.
As Buffaloes aren't circling the wagon.
But if we look down here at the Midwest region, look at what we have left. Loyola Chicago, Oregon State, so the 8 and the 12 seed, Syracuse, who West Virginia just came out of the gate so slow. And by the way, too, congratulations to Bob Huggins, who won his 900th game.
Absolutely.
But this was a cool matchup, the Syracuse West Virginia game, because it was an old Big East matchup, but Houston took care of business. Rutgers tried to represent the Big Ten strong, and they did a good job beating Clemson, and they took Houston, to the final minute. But that's the most interesting region to me is the in Illinois, obviously getting knocked out by Loyola.
You've got double-digit teams moving on to the Sweet 16. No, sorry, two, but one's one's a higher ranked one. So I'd agree with you. And that was the bracket that basically everybody, or I know a lot of people had Ohio State moving at least decently into the tournament, but that was the one bracket, especially once Illinois went down, that bracket was shot for just about everybody.
Yeah.
And so I think now it's just pick a team and just run with them at that point.
And how about UCLA? UCLA's won 3 games. They beat
Greg
State.
Greg called it.
I called Michigan State though, but
but you did say one of those teams moves.
Yeah, the winner of that game had a shot to get something going.
And look what the
Abilene Christian upset over Texas was, to me, and Brett and I chatted about this too. That was the biggest upset in this. Abilene Christian is not a good team at all, and they showed it today. They got smoked, but UCLA is on fire right now. And man,
Abilene Christian didn't they shoot 30% against Texas?
Yeah,
and they were 20% from 3-point land, and they still won.
They just forced a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, they played great defense, and that can get you a couple a round or two maybe, but it's not going to get you far in the tournament. It backfired on them a little bit.
And I guess just we all know what happened to Ohio State, Oral Roberts, but is there any, Edgar, I know you're not a huge Buckeye fan, but you do kind of follow them. And obviously myself, Brett, and Greg are big Buckeye fans. That was a tough loss to swallow, but does it make it any easier or better knowing that they won their second round game and have moved on to the Sweet 16?
I would say so. It takes the sting out of losing the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And we can talk about the seeding and kind of maybe, teams should have been placed here or they should have been placed elsewhere. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You play who you play. And I agree with that. I think them beating Florida and getting to the Sweet 16, it does take a little bit of that sting away for sure.
I think a lot of these teams were misseeded.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think the committee probably didn't know how to seed these teams based on COVID this year. So
there was one team that only played 5 teams total. They played 15 games. They played 5 teams total all year.
You look at Colgate. Colgate was 14-1.
Yeah, they played 5 teams. Yeah, it was Colgate. Yeah, it was Colgate. Yeah.
Yep. And we all had looked at Villanova as possible upset, and now they seem to be rolling. I will say that what the committee did get right, Gonzaga and Baylor are by far the best 2 teams in this tournament.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think even though with a conference only type schedule and stuff like that, I think their talent is starting to really show. When you see the same teams over and over again, we've seen, and we know that it gets tougher to beat them repeatedly. But now they're against different competition, and they were undefeated. Gonzaga was. I know Baylor had 2 losses, but their talent's starting to really show through here.
Yeah, I actually thought Wisconsin played a hell of a game against Baylor, and Baylor was they were just better, to no detriment of Wisconsin. It was just, Wisconsin lit up Carolina, and then and
they just didn't have manpower. They just don't have the manpower that Baylor.
Yeah. To me right now, Gonzaga is that the way Phil Mickelson was before he won his first championship, first major. They're the best team that hasn't won yet.
That's a great
right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of rooting for them. I really hope they can pull it off. It has been fun. It was fun when in the first couple of years watching that Gonzaga team just get into the Sweet 16 every year and start, kind of, the upset special. And now just to see how the validity of that team and how Mark Few grew it, I think it's really special to watch how a team went from nothing to basically borderline blue blood in our generation. I think it's really nice to see.
We can possibly say that about Loyola Chicago now. I mean, 2 years.
They've made some good runs. I'm giving all credit to Sister Jean though. She gets every bit of that credit.
I mean, is Gonzaga the new Duke? I mean, it's almost like Few is doing with Gonzaga what Coach K did in the 80s, building up Duke, and they're getting. I mean, and the difference between, I mean, they're a small school, but they're getting, you know, blue chip recruits. They have lottery picks on their roster. It's
yeah.
But you got to start somewhere. I mean,
no doubt.
They've got to get over the hump though, in order to at least become considered a blue blood. They've got to win a championship, a couple championships over the next few years to really cement themselves in that upper echelon.
And this is the year to do it. Obviously,
yes, absolutely.
They're the most talented team, and their path has been a little bit more cleared than they always had. Sort of a pretty clean run in their region, and now the other, you know, a lot of the chaos is on the other side of the bracket, so they could still see Baylor in the final, but the path is there for them to you know. I wouldn't be shocked at all if, you know, they didn't have a close game, you know, getting all the way up to the finals.
Michigan will be a tough out too if they get to that point. Michigan, you know, they had a couple skids towards the end of the year, but I think they're starting to roll a little bit again.
They have to get Isaiah Livers back.
Yeah. Is there any time frame for him to come back?
Yeah, you know, college is weird with injuries because they don't really say too much, but I know it's some type of stress fracture type thing in his foot. So
which I fear those are like borderline season ending.
Yeah, you just don't know. They call it stress injury, so I don't know what a stress injury is, but it doesn't sound good.
No.
Just a couple more little points here. Obviously, the Ohio Bobcats, the last remaining they ended up falling today to Creighton, but they were the only Ohio school to get a win, knocking off the defending, I guess we can call them still the defending champs, in the Virginia Cavaliers, you know, who were the 2019 champions. So pretty cool for that school to get a win. I know Athens was pretty crazy from what I saw and from what I heard.
Yeah, they were a little nutty.
But I mean, good for them. I don't know their coach. I forget his name offhand, but I know he's an OU.
Jeff Bowles.
Jeff Bowles. Yeah.
He was a MATA guy.
Yes.
Yep. He was Thad's first assistant. Yep.
Right. Thank you for I just so many coaches here. I have trouble with their names, but I know he was an OU grad, and that was sort of his dream job, and for them to, you know, get that win in that first round was so awesome. I'm going to tell you the one school I'm going to say to worry about, and they might not even get there, but Oregon now, watch out with Dana Altman and the Oregon Ducks going against Gonzaga in the Elite Eight. That could be.
I haven't really paid attention to him, but didn't someone else, didn't someone say Oregon would get to the Elite Eight against Gonzaga in our chat last week?
Possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
I thought Greg or Dave said it, one of the two.
I wish I could take credit for that. But,
okay, it may have been Dave. I thought that was what someone said, and I was like shocked that they had a 7 team in there, but
yeah, they ran Iowa out of the gym today.
But could it be those fresh legs of not having to play a first game? You know, I mean, who would have thought that 1-0 win over VCU would vault them into the second round? And, you know, again, that's one of those things too. You feel awful for VCU, who didn't even have a chance, you know, had multiple COVID tests, and hopefully that is the only game that's a no contest or canceled or whatever you want to call it. So I guess go ahead, guys. I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you. I think it's disappointing for VCU, especially they're in the tournament every year, so then they're always competitive. Being a 10 seed, they had a chance to move along, and to not get that is disappointing.
Absolutely. So I guess just final thoughts before we wrap up here on the bracket, or anything you saw in these first couple days.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, again, the parity in college basketball, this is, it sucks. It sucks for the Buckeyes to lose to Oral Roberts, but, this is the beauty of March Madness. Sometimes it just backfires on you, though. But this is these are what has happened this year are the things that we love to see, and the reason why we love this. I mean, just watching the epitome of the tournament for me, it was watching the big guy on Loyola going against Kofi Coburn and basically just dominating him like a guy at the YMCA would just dominate with just crafty moves and good passing and good footwork and just doing everything the right way. He's like a mini it's like a mini Nikola Jokic, kind of the way he plays, and it's just that team, the way they defend, the way they scrap. It's beautiful basketball to watch, and it's great watching teams like that play that way that maybe aren't blessed with the most athletic guys take on these, this Illinois team with what I would assume is going to be probably top 5 NBA draft pick, and they got NBA guys up and down the roster, and they just basically dismantled them, and that's the beauty of all this. So, it's fun to watch, and I hope, and we'll see if it continues. But to me, it's Gonzaga's not going out on a limb here at all. It's Gonzaga's to lose. So
yeah, to me, along Greg's lines, I think that maybe the one thing we didn't discuss, and I certainly wasn't considering it, but these teams that have been together for a while, which is usually these smaller schools, they're not sending draft picks off to the NBA. These guys got an extra year together. They may not have played at the end of last year, but they got to gel and they got to come together more. And maybe it's that type of team, which Gonzaga is known for. They're not usually known for sending out draft picks after one and dones. These guys the teams are cohesive, and I definitely wasn't considering that as I was going through the teams. I was looking at guard play, stuff like that. I just wasn't thinking of who's been together the longest. And it seems like these teams that have that cohesion and know how to play together, like Oral Roberts, it seems, and Loyola, like they all came out to play as a team, and they've put up some great games. And I think that's something that we've so often haven't thought of in other years, and this year it may be the reason teams move along.
All right, guys. Well, again, thanks for joining us, and let's do it again soon.
Definitely.
All right, talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. If you like our programming, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, or subscribe to your favorite podcast platform like iTunes or Spotify. This is original Youngstown content, and we would appreciate you sharing the videos